There's a version of the future that everyone imagined before it arrived. In it, the state watches you. Pleasure is rationed or engineered. The individual is quietly disassembled, one comfort at a time. That future had a name once. It was called Brave New World. But somewhere between 1932 and today, the story changed hands. The state stopped being the villain. Something else took its place. Something with a logo. Huxley's warning was simple. You don't need to imprison people if you can make them love their captivity. Soma, conditioning, engineered contentment. The world state didn't need force. It needed satisfaction. This was a government's dystopia, a single centralized author of control. But Huxley wrote before computers, before networks, before anyone could imagine a world where control didn't need a government at all, where it could be sold, subscribed to, and updated via patch notes. That's the gap Cyberpunk was born to fill. Before the word cyberpunk existed, the fracture had already started, in the work of a man who didn't trust reality itself. Philip K. Dick's stories rarely asked, who is in charge? They asked something colder. Is any of this even real? In Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, the line between human and machine isn't a wall, it's a rumor. In Ubik, the world itself degrades, like a signal losing resolution. Dick wasn't building megacorporations yet. He was doing something more foundational, dismantling the idea that identity and reality could be trusted at all. This is the seed, not the neon, not the hacker, just the doubt. Genres rarely have a birth certificate. This one does. In 1980, a writer named Bruce Bethke published a short story literally titled Cyberpunk. He fused two words that shouldn't have belonged together: the cold, clinical cyber, and the anti-authority sneer of punk. The name outlived the story. Then, in 1984, William Gibson published Neuromancer. Gibson didn't just write a novel. He coined a word that didn't have a referent yet: cyberspace, years before most people had touched the internet. He fused hard-boiled detective fiction with hacker culture and corporate power, and in doing so, gave the genre its shape. Here is the actual hinge point, the thing that separates Brave New World from everything that came after it. In Huxley, the state controls you. In Cyberpunk, the state has withered, and something else has taken its place. Not a president, not a parliament, a corporation, a logo with jurisdiction. The formula critics eventually gave this genre was blunt but accurate. High-tech, low-life, street-level hackers, mercenaries and drifters, navigating a world engineered by entities with no face and no accountability. The prophecy didn't disappear. It privatized. This genre didn't appear at random. It was a reaction. Japan's economic ascent in the 1980s made Western audiences suddenly aware of a hyper-technological future arriving from elsewhere, a fact Cyberpunk absorbed directly into its aesthetic. At the same time, Reagan-era deregulation was actively shrinking the visible authority of the state, while corporations expanded into that vacuum. And the first home computers were turning networked reality from science fiction into a purchasable object. Cyberpunk wasn't predicting the future. It was translating a very specific, very present anxiety. Technology was outpacing every institution built to control it. So here is the actual lineage, laid end to end. Huxley gave us the shape of the cage, control through comfort, not cruelty. Dick gave us the doubt, the question of whether the self or the world inside that cage was even real. Gibson gave us the architecture, a name, a space, and the economy for the cage to exist inside. 3 separate warnings, decades apart, converging on the same conclusion. The future doesn't arrive as a boot stamping on a human face. It arrives as a terms of service agreement. Huxley asked what happens when a government decides what you want. Cyberpunk asked a harder question. What happens when nobody decides, when the cage builds itself, one convenience at a time, and nobody is left to blame?